looking at the technological advances. I used to be on dial-up looking for...
Welcome to 3count Commentaries. This is MagMongoSlade. So, the thumbnail scared me. When I was a kid, women's wrestlers looked like Alundra Blaze. They were lean, about 120 pounds, somewhat tall, but not much taller than the average woman. Occasionally, you would get a Bull Nakano, a Bertha Faye style woman who was a little bit larger, fat woman. Then China happened. And China is going to end up becoming the superstar Billy Graham of female wrestlers. Now, superstar Billy Graham was big, muscular, not much on the way of in-ring skill, but had tremendous charisma, especially verbal skills. And it was that was predated Hulk Hogan by a decade. You know? So then you got Scott Steiner. You got a bunch of guys coming out of Jesse the Body Ventura. All these guys coming out of nowhere. Huge guys. You got Sting and the Ultimate Warrior. They all come from that superstar Billy Graham tree of not the best wrestler, but big, muscular, charismatic. And then there's China. All the women's wrestlers, some of the ones you ever heard of were the best women's wrestlers in the world, especially the Japanese women. They're all petite. They're very fast. They're skinny. Sometimes you would get a big one. Like I said, like a Bull Nakano. But most of them were small. And then there was China. Since China, there have been a myriad of different women. You've had some women who were pretty well built. Jazz being one of them. She was big for a woman. Not tall, but looked strong, looked tough, like she could beat your ass, male or female. Jazz looked tough. But even then, Trish Stratus and Lita were sort of the leaders of that division. Then occasionally you would have some come along that kind of were bigger, buffer women. Caitlyn being another one. She was kind of buff. But most during this time was the Divas era. You had these smaller, athletic women. Then, of course, you had Beth Phoenix, another big woman. But never have you had women that were like Beth Phoenix and China all at one time. You know, you've never had that all at one time. And now, as I look at how these three women are being booked, Bianca Belair is being a world beater. She's pretty much beating everybody. Rhea Ripley is kind of skittish, you know, because of the whole thing with Charlotte and everything. And, you know, Gonzalez, she's just getting started. But if you look at how WWE is starting to divide their division, this is the future of female wrestling. It's going to be Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, and Raquel Gonzalez. And the crazy thing is that you have essentially a black woman, a white woman, and a Latino woman. It's over, right? They've got the bases covered. As far as your diversity, they got it covered. I think Rhea Ripley might be bisexual too, so I think they definitely got it covered, right? So if you look at the behaviors of some of the smaller women, I'm not just talking about Sasha Banks and Naomi. I'm also talking about Alexa Bliss. You know, I think their days are numbered. Now, there's obviously not going to be an entire division of Bianca Belairs and Rhea Ripley's. They're going to definitely need smaller women to throw around. But I think if you look at how WWE is starting to form their division, this is going to be sort of their favored nation. You know, it's going to be definitely the big muscular woman. Again, just like superstar Billy Graham became the blueprint for Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Jesse the Body Ventura, Scott Steiner, John Cena, all those guys. You know, the muscle man. Much like Bruno Sammartino was. Yeah, but, you know, Billy Graham was a much larger character than Bruno in terms of personality. I think we're looking at something similar here. I think that the China syndrome that we're looking at is about to take over. And I'm looking at NXT. And Tiffany Stratton. She's not as tall, But you're talking about a girl that's ripped. You know, Ivy Nile is ripped. You know, you're talking about some chicks who are, you know, incredible athletes that look good. They're not just in shape women's wrestlers. They look badass. They look tough. There's some toughness there. Now, Tiffany Stratton, her character is, you know, the daddy's girl. But there is a look to her where if she wanted to be serious, she could. And Ivy Nile looks like she will, you know, could rip phone books. You know, this new breed of women's wrestler that WWE is starting to lean into, it's going to be something. It's going to be very interesting. How many of these smaller, and I don't mean to use this word in the same way WWE used it, these smaller diva style wrestlers, what's going to happen to them? You know, are they just going to be the Zelina Vegas, the Alexa Blisses, the Liv Morgans? They're essentially just going to be basketballs tossed around by these behemoths over here, you know? And I can see it happening. I mean, to a degree, it's already happened. How many times have we seen Bianca Belair just toss Zelina Vega in the air? She's beaten Zelina Vega probably more than she's beaten anybody in the company, you know? And now they're doing the same thing with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. She's basically just going to throw Liv Morgan around for several weeks now, for a couple more weeks. And, you know, I'm pretty sure Raquel Gonzalez is going to get her one too. She's going to find her a small, petite woman, and she's going to toss her to and fro for the next several weeks until people get it in their heads that this is the future. This is the new thing. Sure, it's always going to be your sex pots, your vixens, your beautiful people, your toxic attraction. Those women are always going to exist. They're in good shape. They're sexy. That's always going to be the thing. You may get one or two of them that slide in there and hang around for a while. But I'm thinking you're looking at, to a degree, Charlotte is one of those too. She is maybe the forerunner after China. This is why, you know, WWE kind of loves them some Charlotte. Michelle McCool was another one in this same vein. But they've always been looking for that next China. And Beth Phoenix was the closest they got, but the mentality wasn't there yet. I think the mentality is there now. I think Vince and sometimes the fans can look at a match between Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley and say, that's a women's wrestling match. Anything else is just them playing around. Alexa Bliss versus Sasha Banks, it might as well be midget wrestling. You know, but Raquel Gonzalez, that's serious business. That girl is big, right? And she's believable that she can beat up most men. You know, even if she can't, she looks like she can. And that's generally the idea. That's what they want. It's the same thing with the men. They want big jack dudes. So why wouldn't they want big jack dudettes? This is the next thing. You got your 4 horsewomen. And as they get older, and I think all of them are near the age of late 30s, you know, they're having kids, they're getting married, all except Bailey, I think. I think Sasha's the youngest of all of them. And their attitudes, and people are getting tired of them. You know, they've been doing this for 5-6 years now. This whole 4 horsewomen thing, you know. People are getting a little old. They're getting a little tired of it. And now you bringing in these chicks. And everybody's kind of like, oof. You know, these are page turners. I'm thinking if you're going 4 horsewomen, that time is about to be over. I don't know how much longer they got. I'm pretty sure they ain't got too much longer. You know. And with Sasha Banks and her routine attitudes, eventually they're going to get tired of it. You know, Bailey has never really been the favored person in WWE anyway. Charlotte eventually is going to get old. You know, she can't stay who she is forever. And Becky Lynch is eventually going to get old. And I'm thinking that everybody's kind of like, you know, this new indie darling should be the girl. And that one, I'm like, no. WWE is protecting Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, and Raquel Gonzalez. They're protecting them. Even if they do stuff silly with them, they're keeping them around and keeping them visible, you know? And unless somebody screws something up, they're probably going to be the women in the future. You know, none of them are old. You know, I think Bianca might be a little bit like 31 or 32. You know, Rhea is very young, and they've had her on the roster for a little while now. You know, and Raquel, I'm not so sure how old she is, but I'm pretty sure she's late 20s, maybe early 30s. So you got 10 years, 5 or 6 years. And then as long as everybody stays healthy and there's no serious injuries, I think they're going to end up pushing the 4 horsewomen out of the way. I think you're looking at, I don't want to say a new dynasty in the women's division, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this. You know, I think the women in NXT probably should smarten up, you know, and they need to get used to the idea that you're probably going to be working with a bigger woman and she's going to be throwing you around. And I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, the Dewdrop, eventually they smarten up with Dewdrop and actually start doing something with her too. She doesn't fit this mold because, you know, she's rotund. But WWE, they are favoring Bianca Belair, Raquel, and Rhea. And I can tell in the future, that's going to be the kind of woman wrestler they're going to be looking to get. The bigger one. Those smaller women are going to be in trouble. But let me know what you guys think. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.